So 2023 was just wild for Palantir. I mean, it started off with surprise profitability, which sent the stock soaring, only for Wall Street to beat it down one last time to $7 before taking the rocket ship back up to almost $20 before settling in on its current range. So let's discuss the major points coming for Palantir in 2024 that are absolutely going to dictate the stock price. And one of them, guys, I have not heard anybody talk about at all, so we're going to absolutely discuss that here. And we will discuss where I see the stock price going by the end of 2024. And we'll also talk about how to not get your face ripped off by Wall Street trying to build out your position in Palantir. So make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth without the hype, because that's exactly what you're going to get here. And if you want to be financially free and retire early, make sure you check out the pinned comment down there for my new channel, where that's all we talk about is getting you exactly there. Financial freedom and being able to retire early. So make sure you check that out and subscribe over there if you want that sort of content to kind of complement this content. So there are really three big points that are going to dictate where Palantir stock goes this year. And like I said, the last one, guys, is something I haven't heard anybody talk about, but it may be the most important point in regards to determining where, Palantir is going this year. And of course, we'll also talk about the stock price, where I think it's going, and of course, how to avoid all of Wall Street stupidity and the strategy to kind of get around all that. So the first point is institutions finally start buying in on Palantir. We all know S&P inclusion is coming, and when that happens, maybe institutions and the analysts and all the Wall Street finally wake up, decide to actually do the work and actually figure out what the heck this company is all about. If nothing else, it is going to bring more eyes to Palantir, and especially those larger institutional type investors. A lot of those folks won't even look at a stock. I mean, they won't even consider it, doesn't even hit their radar until after you're already included in one of the big indexes there. So that's absolutely one of the big things that's going to come down this year that is going to have an influence on the stock price. And of course, I don't think it's a bad thing at all to have more analysts covering the stock, having more institutions being able to look at the stock, and of course, all the other things that kind of come along with that. In order to kind of see some price stability and not have the crazy, wacky ups and downs, you got to have those big institutions come in and be those larger shareholder bases. And that's what we should start seeing this year with Palantir. Number two, how much money does AIP finally bring in? Look, I know it's a bold strategy and it's definitely one Wall Street doesn't like, but giving it away for free and trying to get them kind of hooked on the product to where basically on the back end, you can charge a very, very nice premium in order to have them use that and to continue to use it for them, to me, is a great strategy. But it does carry risk because we don't know how many customers are going to go all the way through and become paying customers. We don't know what the turnaround time is on those contracts and some of the other minutia, like do they delay till next year, do they delay until the following year? Are folks using that just as kind of a way to kind of cheat and get a peek at it just before they compare it to another competitor on the other side who's maybe a little bit cheaper? We don't really have a very, very clear vision on that. Obviously, I trust Alex. I trust his vision on this. I think that's what we have to do as shareholders. But if AIP starts paying off and starts adding money to the bottom line instead of basically being a big negative to that bottom line there, that is going to be huge for the stock price, because right now that is, I hate to say it, but it's definitely hurting margins to say the least. Of course, that means it's hurting EPS. And of course, that affects the stock price and the valuation for the stock. So if we start to see AIP start to convert over into paid customers, that can be a huge catalyst to a nice run in the stock and definitely allow us to not just get involved in a hype run, but in terms of valuation, if they're able to increase those margins, increase that EPS, that gives us a nice valuation step up, which is huge for the stock. And finally, we have the last and the biggest point that absolutely nobody's talking about, guys. I mean, please comment down below if somebody has, but it's something I haven't heard personally yet, discussed in my group or anywhere else or any of the other videos that get sent to me. So let's talk about number three, which is the sales team is finally at full speed. I distinctly remember when Palantir kind of first announced that they were standing up this full-time sales team there from scratch, by the way. The first quarter after that, the YouTube freak out with everybody saying, oh my gosh, this sales team is the worst ever. Oh, I can't believe it. And that kind of started that whole selling trend there on YouTube that kind of ended with Alex banging the table. That was just the last straw that nobody could handle. We were right here on this channel saying that's absolutely ludicrous. You guys were saying it. I know I definitely was saying it. Our group members were saying it. Everybody was saying it. That's ludicrous. You cannot take a sales team, stand them up from scratch. First off, that takes more than 3 months right there alone just to stand them up, much less see dividends from it. Then create all the materials for such a complex product, such a complex suite of items that you have. And then you've got to train your sales team, which guess what, guys? The nerds, and I hate to call them nerds, but I don't know what else to call them, the nerds that understand all the technical, stuff behind what's going on with Palantir are probably not your best salesmen. Your best salesmen are the best talkers, which probably means they don't understand a lot of the talk that's in there. So they've got to learn it. They've got to do some training on it. It takes time. And then more importantly, the sales cycle for Palantir takes a lot of time to begin with, even if you didn't have that sort of ramp up that was coming and such. So we talked about it's going to take a year at a minimum to get this team up to full speed. And that was kind of a best case scenario. So for me, 2023 was kind of the year of the ramp, kind of getting that sales team going. And right here in 2024 is where we should see the big dividends being paid off with that sales team. So on to where I see the stock price going in 2024. And this is where we need to get really, really real. And of course, I'll give you a strategy as well to handle the just stupidity that is Wall Street. Like many stocks we discuss right here on this channel, it was so easy to predict where the stock price was going the past couple of years. You guys know it. 2021 was the year of the hype runs. Obviously, Palantir was not immune to those runs as well. Everybody had a hype run on there. So it was very, very easy to see 2022 was going to be a down year for all those stocks. Now, I didn't see it going. I think it did actually hit into the fives just briefly, just for a day or so. May have even just been shortly in a trading day. I know we had some members that picked up shares there in the fives. I most certainly did. And all mine were, the lowest price I got was the low sixes. That was the best I did personally. So I didn't see that sort of crater down coming, but you knew that these stocks were going to have to cool off. Palantir at the time wasn't profitable. There was no reason and there was no way I could justify a valuation based upon price per sales or any other metric you want to use out there to where it got. So it was kind of coming down, which of course meant, especially after we got surprise profitability and then Wall Street, for whatever reason, decided to beat it down to $7. Hey, okay, you're getting steal deals at that stage. It's going to make you a lot of money in 2023. So you knew the stock price was going to have a nice run during that time. But this year is going to be different than those past 2 years. And unless we have some sort of a black swan event or some other event like that, it's going to be back to a much more normal of a year for stocks. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to move and you're not going to see FOMO runs and, oh my gosh, the end of the world is here for Palantir, whenever, traders take their profits and do all sorts of things like that. It's going to happen, but it's going to be much less pronounced than it's been the past couple of years. So even if Alex bangs the table again and YouTube freaks out and decides to sell a stock because it's total trash, I still see Palantir finally overtaking that $20 mark and being able to hold that $20 mark more importantly. So that way we end up getting somewhere in the low 20s in regards to where I see the stock price going here in 2024, which of course is a very, very nice return from where we started at the beginning of 2024. Not ludicrous, not double or triple your money or anything like that, but those are not realistic returns. And anybody telling you that that's what you need to have out of the growth stock is it needs to 5x every year or 10x every year, whatever all that ridiculous stuff is, just remember that was the same narrative in 2021. And we all saw exactly how that all ended for everybody else. So not realistic there at all, especially as, Palantir kind of moves in with the big boys per se, kind of into the indexes and kind of moves up to that next league per se. That right there is more of how I see it running. And I would be very, very pleased with that sort of return there at the end of the year. But how the heck and what strategies should you use to actually handle the ridiculousness that is absolutely going to go on in the meantime as we get there? Because it's going to be choppy on the way there. It's not going to be nice and smooth. So how do you deal with that? How do you strategically build out your position in Palantir? You simply do your valuation in order to get fair value. You ignore all the noise and you just execute a simple DCA where basically whenever it dips down below fair value, you add a little bit heavier. And whenever it gets above fair value, you just add a little bit lighter. That is all you have to do to make sure you're getting a lot more shares whenever that price dips and you're avoiding those hype runs and you're not overpaying too much for the stock and buying too many shares at those overhyped prices. And that is exactly what we teach in my group, how to get fair value, how to do evaluation, how to set up your plan for exactly when to buy and how many shares you want to buy and all that sort of stuff. Plus, you get my buy and sell alerts in real time. You get my complete watch list with my price target for Palantir and a bunch of other stocks. You get to take 5 courses for free, use our stock analyzer tool for free. We have so many live events going on right now that are going. We have even more things coming to the group that kind of get announced. It feels like every week. It's not every week, but feels like it is so far this year. And there's so much more in the group that's already there. Make sure you check out the pinned comment and see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.